In this lesson, we're going to cover the creation of your first PHP script.
All right, cool.
So we're inside of Adobe GoLive. We'll be using that to create the script for the lesson. What we need here is a new blank page. So under Web, we'll simply grab an HTML page. Of course, that presents us with our blank page.
Cool.
Under Layout, it is in fact blank, so that's good. Now what we need to do is we need to look under the Source tab. This is where we're going to be working when creating PHP scripts.
I see.
As the name suggests, we're going to be scripting or programming something, so we're going to need to look at code.
All right, cool.
So here we are in the Source tab, looking at the basic HTML that GoLive has given us for a blank page. Now, I am going to keep all this code, and that brings up an interesting point. A PHP script can contain both HTML and actual PHP code within the same file.
All right, cool.
So we'll actually be leaving all this in place when we write our script.
All right, sweet.
Now what this means is that we need a way to tell PHP what parts of the file are code and which parts are just HTML. And we do that through the use of PHP tags.
All right, tags meaning?
Tags mean we'll have an opening and closing tag, and anything within those tags will be PHP code.
Ah, I see.
So right here in between these paragraph tags, let's go ahead and start PHP tags.
Okay.
The opening PHP tag is $! question mark PHP.
Okay.
The closing tag is question mark greater than sign.
Now, is there any reason you put them right between the paragraph tab?
Only because that's where I'm going to have it output data. That would be more convenient for the specific script.
Okay.
There is no limitation on exactly where PHP tags have to occur.
Oh.
They could be the first line, the last line, or even all in one line.
Okay.
You know, if we wanted to throw a PHP tag in between our HTML title, we could do that.
Oh, wow. So you can put it literally anywhere on the page then?
Yeah, that's
as long as you have the open and close tag?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So, within our PHP tag, one interesting thing to note is that if we omit PHP, what this basically gives us is a generic script tag.
Okay.
And this will work in the case of PHP because it's a script tag. We're scripting in PHP, and hence PHP code goes here. It's the formal way of doing this is to have the PHP there. It makes the script more compatible with more systems in certain ways. It won't affect us here.
Okay, I got
The other thing it does is because we are working in GoLive, this will tell GoLive that we need to have a special kind of highlighting. It's very convenient for working later on.
Oh, I see. So it's also probably just good practice to have that on there, too.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Definitely.
Keep you kind of in flow with what you're doing.
Yes. So we've got our PHP tags open, so let's take a look at some actual code.
Okay.
What we're going to use is PHP's echo functionality. We'll be using that to output some text to the browser.
So what's that? What does echo? What does that do?
Echo is just simply a way of outputting data. That's really all it is. Just take something and have it sent out to the browser.
Oh, okay. Pretty basic.
So we'll use echo, and what do we want to send? Let's send the text "Hello World."
Okay.
And text like this has to be put into quotes. In this case, I'll use single quotes. Hello World. And then to end this this block of text, we'll put another closing quote and a terminator.
All right.
Now, let's go ahead and save this out so we can test it. I'll save this to our local web server, and we'll save it as test.php. And I'll let it title it just so it doesn't keep bothering us.
Okay.
Let's load up a web browser now, and here we are at our local server.
Okay.
And let's load up that test.php page. Oh, rock on.
Right,
Hello
sweet.
World.
Yeah. Best website ever.
So what exactly is going on back in the script? Well, we've got our echo, and we've got the text that's being sent, and then we have, at the end of that, a semicolon. That is a terminator.
So what is that used for? Do you have to put that at the end of everything?
Well, the way a terminator works in PHP is related to how whitespace works within the language.
Okay.
Whitespace simply means any blank space that's not code.
Oh.
For example, this tab we have at the beginning, that's whitespace.
Okay.
If we had a new line, that would also be whitespace. It's used so that you can better format your code to make it more readable.
I see. I notice you just keep adding white space. Is there any limit to what
No,
you
there's no practical limit. I mean, you could have 1,000 lines of just line returns if you really wanted to.
Oh, so what is the point for white space? Why would you even need that in there? Put it all together.
It's for formatting reasons. It's to make it so that you can tab things out and make your code more readable.
Just make it pretty.
Basically. Now, because of that, we need to indicate to PHP where statements end, so it knows when. Basically, as we start into a statement, things can be more complicated than just a word.
I gotcha.
We have echo. But by itself, that won't really do anything. We need to have something more complicated. We need to have our echo statement say echo, what we're echoing, and we need to be able to define, all right, well, this is the end of what we're doing. This terminator says that this is the end of our echo statement.
I see.
All this makes one statement. Go ahead and evaluate that.
So that pretty much just stops. That says this is the end. We're done.
Yeah, that's it. We're done. Possibly go on to something else.
Oh, okay.
And that's how it's used to break it up. If we had other code elsewhere, then that would break it up into cleanly executable pieces of code and say, all right, this is one statement. Somewhere else we have some other statement, terminator, and then however or whatever else we want.
Okay. I also noticed that you used single quotes. Is there any? I mean,
I use single quotes because that's convenient in HTML. There are we'll get into the way quotes work with strings in a later lesson.
Okay.
So that pretty much covers how our one basic statement is working. I want to do a quick example of what happens if we omit terminators.
Okay.
So let's say I was to erase that back off.
Oh, so we're just checking out why the terminator is important.
Right. And so let's copy this. We'll duplicate that line, and now we have two echo statements.
Okay. So it should say hello world, hello world.
But we'll see how the omission of the terminators goes.
Okay.
So we'll run it.
Ooh,
and we get a parse error. This also brings up another good point. Errors within PHP. And see here we've got a parse error and a bunch of information.
Okay.
There are different types of errors, different levels. You can have things as simple as a notice where it basically says nothing really went wrong, it's just something you should be aware of.
I see.
You have warnings where an error did occur, but it wasn't a fatal error. It will not halt the execution of the script.
Okay.
And those are known as warnings.
Okay.
In this case, a parse error is where PHP was trying to look over all the code and make sense of it before actually using it, and it found some things that weren't quite right as far as PHP code goes. A syntax error was found.
Okay.
And then it goes on to explain what it was at when it experienced the problem and what it was expecting.
So what is it? What is a syntax error? What is
a syntax error? Means something you typed doesn't quite count as PHP code, basically.
I see. So it thinks that you were just messed up while you're typing.
Or that basically some part of the code is messed up.
Okay, all right.
So what it found is it found a T echo, and it was expecting a comma or a terminator. That makes a lot of sense in our case because that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, so it actually tells you, is that precise? It tells you exactly what's wrong with it?
That's exactly what triggered the error. The only thing to be careful of is cases where a line that's not quite right can execute, but it in turn messes up something else. That's the only case where you have to be a little bit careful.
Oh, so kind of like a domino effect type
kind
thing?
of, sort of.
Okay, I got you.
Well, one thing sets up a problem, and the next line takes the fall, if you will.
I see. Okay.
And finally, PHP shows what script the error occurred in and on what line.
Oh, wow, that's really handy.
Very useful. So let's go back into GoLive.
So if you have like 50,000 lines,
yeah,
it's like, line 42 million.
So if we look on line 14, we can pretty much follow what it was saying. It found an echo and was expecting a terminator. Well, that does make sense. We omitted a terminator.
Okay, but it's saying that I noticed you clicked up to line 13. It's saying line 14 was the line that had the problem.
And that's just what we were just talking about. In this case, the omission of the terminator did not yet cause the problem. Because there's that's the way the language is designed. It's fairly open so that various things can happen. An echo, a string, and you have to define the stop points. With those omitted, it's going, all right, let's evaluate this as all one thing.
I see. So it's thinking that that's all supposed to be straight together.
Yeah, just evaluate all together before actually running it as one thing.
I see what you're saying.
And that's where the terminators come in useful.
Okay.
We say that this is to be run by itself. This is to be run by itself, and everything works. Let's make sure. So, hello world, sent out twice.
Cool. So you have to have a terminator at the end of everything, or else you're going to end up getting an error.
In general, except for there's only one exception to that rule, and that is if the line you're working on, or the statement you're working on, is the last statement before the end of the code, before the end of a PHP tag, you can omit that terminator.
Oh, I see.
And
well, that makes sense because there wouldn't be anything else afterwards.
Exactly, because there is no other line, because even up here you saw the following line is what experienced the problem. Here there is no following line. The statement evaluated, we know it's the end because it's the end of everything. In practice, I usually put terminators at the end of all lines,
regardless
just in case you were to later, for debugging reasons, say, we're going to move this line up higher in the code.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it's good practice to always use it. There's just one exception in where that is actually required.
Oh, okay.
So that covers the basic introduction to PHP syntax. Now, there's one other thing in this lesson that I want to cover, and that is what is known as the PHPinfo Function. It's a function that will act as your base info page, if you will, information about PHP itself and PHP's environment. It'll be a little bit more clear in just a second.
Okay.
To do that, I'm going to create another blank document.
Okay. Just get yourself a clean slate here.
Yep. Because we'll keep that out. Otherwise, what this outputs is going to be intermingled with the other, and you'll see why that's a problem in just a second.
All right.
This time, though, once we go to source, I'm going to erase all of the source. Okay. This we're going to have run by itself. Plus, it shows another example of how this can be laid out.
Oh, okay.
In this case, PHP tags are not only the first line, they're the only thing in the entire file.
Ah,
that's also valid. When I was saying before that you can have both HTML and PHP in the same document, it's not absolutely required that you have HTML.
Oh, okay.
Technically, it's not even required that you have PHP. If you left all the PHP tags out, that would still be perfectly valid. PHP wouldn't process anything. It would all get dumped to the browser like a normal web page, but it would, in fact, work.
Oh, wow.
So we'll open a PHP tag. We'll close it. And the function I was talking about was PHPinfo. And as a function, we have to put parentheses and then a terminator.
Now, I noticed that whenever you start typing up, it brings a drop-down menu.
That's GoLive's PHP function library.
Oh.
It's just a little help to, as you type out, it tries to index exactly what you're working on.
Oh, okay.
That way, if you were saying, like you're typing out a function name, and it finds that function, then you can use its autocomplete.
Oh, that's pretty
cool.
So
a convenience factor built into GoLive. So PHPinfo is the function, which is why we have the parentheses.
Okay.
We'll get into those at a later time.
Okay.
And of course our terminator, good habit here.
Yeah, that's a good end to it.
And let's save that, and we'll call this script PHPinfo.php.
So that, but just a note, that terminator was not required because that's the only thing that's on the line.
Exactly.
Okay. But it's just good habit to have it on there.
So we'll save this to PHPinfo.php. Go back to our web browser, and let's see what that page results in. PHPinfo.php.
Whoa, cool.
So yeah, a lot of stuff. And now, don't be overwhelmed. You don't have to understand all of this immediately. As a matter of fact, we're not going to go in depth in this page. We're just going to show you how to get to it. Because it's kind of like an underlying describe function for
so this will be
itself.
like really handy though.
Yes, what this shows is information about PHP itself, what version, and the environment that surrounds PHP, meaning what web services, what version of the web server, what type of web server.
I see.
It also shows how PHP is currently configured. A lot of these settings are in the PHP ini file. And you can get into more complex setups where you have multiple ini files, and this can be very useful in diagnosing problems with settings.
Okay.
Later in this, it shows what other modules exist, more about the environment, and it also shows information about what values are currently defined.
This is like the good old-fashioned help in DOS.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
But just putting this out there so you know how to access it. If you run into problems, people may ask you to see your PHP info if you're running into some odd problems.
Oh, I gotcha. Now, couldn't this be found in like README files or something?
Well, see, here's the thing. This isn't how to use PHP. This is information about your PHP installation.
Your particular one.
This is all the information that's relevant to your system.
Oh, I see.
As opposed to general information about PHP. That's the whole idea here, is any of this could change depending on how you have set up PHP.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's useful for debugging your installation.
So you could probably find it somewhere, just be a pain just to go dig it out.
Meaning, yeah, for the settings, that is the nice thing, is it takes a bunch of settings spread possibly throughout your entire server system and puts all the things relevant to PHP in one window.
Nice. Okay, cool.
And so far in this lesson we've covered the basic usage of PHP, how it works in an HTML document, and we've also shown the PHPinfo function itself for diagnosing configuration problems. And with that, that is going to wrap up this lesson.
All right.